Welcome everyone. We're gonna start the lesson in 1 minute. Welcome everyone. See more people joining. We're gonna start. Okay, welcome everyone to lesson number 7. We already learned the 23 Hebrew alphabets, and we're gonna do a revision today. So first lesson, we learned about Abjad. We learned the Aleph, we learned the Beit, we learned the Gimel, and we learned the Dalet. That was the first lesson. Second lesson, we learned about Hawaz, the Hey, the Vav, and the Zain. That was the second lesson. And the third lesson, we learned about Hotti, the Het, the Tet, and the Yud. That was lesson number 3. And then lesson number 4, we learned Kalman, the Kaf, the Lamed, the Mem, and the Nun. Then we learned, that was lesson number 4. And then we learned lesson number 5, Sa'afats, the Tsamech, the Ain, the Pei, and the Tzadik. That was lesson 5. And lesson 6, we learned Karshat, lesson 6. The Kof, the Resh, the Sin, the Shin, and the Tav. And also we learned the 6 Baged Kafet consonants that come in a different forms with the Nikud, with the dots. And also we learned the 5 final forms, which in lesson 4, we had the Kaf, and then we had the Mim, and we had the Nun. And in lesson 5, we had the Pei, and we have the Tzadi. This is the 5 final forms. Of course, in the beginning and the center, we write it like this. And in the end, we learned how to write it this way. And also, today, we're going to do a revision and for all the alphabets, a revision today. So this is the 5 final forms we learned about. The Kof, the Mim, the Nun, the Pe, and the Tzadeh. Derech, this is how we write it in the end. Derech, Dalet, Resh, Kaf, Derech. Then Am. Derech means the road or the way. Am means nation. This is Mem in the end, how we write it, Mem Sofit. And this is how we write it in a regular form, or the beginning or the center. This is at the end. Then the Nun, Zaken. Zaken means old man. This is Nun regular in the center or in the middle, or in the beginning. And this is Nun Sofit. Then Pei, this is Kesef, which means money. And this is how we write it in a regular form. And then this is how we write it in the end, the Fe. And Aretz, Tzadeh. Aleph, Resh, Tzadeh, Aretz. This is how we write it in the end. Se, Sofit. And Tzadeh in the beginning and the end. So we have 5 final forms. We learned about 5 final forms with 5 letters. We learned also there's a numerical value for each Hebrew letter. Aleph is 1, all the way to the Tav, the last alphabet is 400. And we learned that every number have a meaning, and there is a complete science about neurological numbers, numerical numbers in science. And we got into some examples about it. It's more into the Kabbalah, but we'll not get deep into that. There is no need to get deep into that because it loses the focus. It's completely another subject. And we learn about the 6 Bagid Kafet, all right? The Bet, the Kaf, the Gimel, the Pei, the Dalet, and the Tav, the Dalet and the Tav, which we're gonna do a revision also today. With a dot, it's strong, Be. Without a dot is like Ve. And Gimel, like God with a dot, and Ra, Ra, like without a dot. Dalet with a dot, which is the Gesh, is like D, Day, but without a dot is like Ve. And the Kaf with a dot, the Gesh, is like K, King. Without a dot, we say Che. And the Pe with a dot is strong. The Gesh means strong, Pe. And then we say Fe. You close your lips halfway, Fe, like alphabets without a dot. And Te, Tet, the Tav, like toy with a dot, the Gesh, and Ve, like thin Ve, pronounced without a dot. And we learn all about the vowels, the A, the A, the E, the O, and the U. A, Kametz Gadol, is called Kametz Gadol, and this is Patah. Patah, the A long and the A short. Then A like pen with the dutets, with the 2 dots, Seire. This is called Seire, and this is called Segol, Segol, short and long. Then E, like green, Herke Gadol, it's the dot below the letter, or Herke Katan. Then the O, like Holem, if it's a dot on the top of a letter, we say O. Then if it's like this, we say Kametz Katan. I know it looks similar like this, but within the experience, you can differentiate between the 2 vowels. And the last vowel, U, Shorek, U. If it's in the center, we say U. And this is the kibbutz short, U, the kibbutz. So these are the 5 vowels, which we're gonna learn and train today also. A, E, I, O, U. It's important to know how to pronounce it again. A, E, I, O, and U. We learned the first alphabet, Aleph, how we write it, okay? And we know that there's different ways how we can write the alphabet. This is one way. There is another way, is like decorated like this. And decorated, we learned Aleph is a silent word. Also, we can make some decorations on the Aleph too. It depends on the font. It depends on the font. Aleph, the first Hebrew letter with a numerical value 1, Aleph. Jesus said, I am the Aleph and the Tav. Ani, Ha-Aleph, and the Tav. I'm the beginning and the end. He never said I'm the Alpha and Omega, because that was not his language. His language was Hebrew. And we learned about Bet. So with a dot, we write it from the top all the way down to the left. With a dot is Be. Bet, Be. The Gesh, strong. Without a dot, it become another alphabet, Ve. We say Ve. All right? Ve. course, it can be written in different forms. You can see it in different forms also. It depends on the font. Or maybe sometimes you see it like this also. It depends on the font itself. But the most important, with a dot or without a dot. Without a dot, it changed completely to vet, the. Then gimel is the third Hebrew letter. Again, with a dot is like we pronounce it like God. With a dot, all right? With a dot. This alphabet. Ge, God. But without a dot is like ra, like agast, ra. And there's a difference in pronunciation. You mostly see it with a dot. Let me say this way. Mostly it's with a dot. Ga. And we learn about the dalet. And with a dot, it's like they is strong. Always this dot is called dagesh. Dagesh in Hebrew means strong. Dagesh. Always with a dot, you say de. Without a dot, you don't have to say it, pronounce it strongly. You say the. You put your tongue on the top of your teeth and you say the. Also, mostly you find it with a dot, the dalet. And then we learned about the hey, the alphabet hey. We write it from here to the right and down and like a line in the center, or you find it like this and also another like this, another yud inside. It depends on the font, but this is the major font to the right. Hey. And then we learned vav. Sometimes vav is a short line on the top and then down, and sometimes with no dots, vav. But you have to differentiate between the vav and the nun. The nun is longer. The nun sofit is longer. And you have to differentiate between the vav and if there's a dot in the center. If there's a dot in the center, we said oo, shorek. So oo, you pronounce it not vav, oo, like wow, not vav. It comes in different forms, but the most important, it comes a lot with a dot. So instead of ve, you say wow. Instead of ve, you say wow. Like an example, or this is, let me write for you, aleph, all right, aleph, and then vav, with a dot, we say, and then resh. So here, we don't say avra, we say or, because of the dot, If there was no dot, and there was vav, we say avir. Change completely the meaning from light, or means light, avir means wind. So the dots changes the pronunciations, or aleph, vav with a dot become oo, so it's or, which means light. Then we have the zayin. At the beginning and the center and the end is the same, does not change. Zayin. Look from the top to the right and from the center. Sometimes we find it one third from here, but don't mix it with the dalet. All right, the dalet is always longer, so it's shorter and like an angle is the Zayin alphabets. In the beginning or the center or the end of a word, it's the same, is the same. Then we have the het. Het. This is het. And comes two forms, right? Het. Het. This is the first form. Het. Het. And there is a dot in the center. Most Jews pronounce it het. Het. But the biblical way, not het. Don't pronounce it het. The biblical way, you should say het. This is the Old Testament way. Het. Ha. 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 You go all the way to your utensils, you know, you close them. You close your throat from the button and you're like all the way from your bottom, the top of your throat, button top. Het. You say het. Then we learned tet. Of course, come in different forms, but this is one of the form. Tet. Tet. And this is how we write it again. Tet. You have to, it's the same almost pronunciation like the tau, but it's different alphabet. Tet. It's more, you put the gesh strong on the t. You put your tongue at the top of your mouth, touching your tooth. Tet. The last letter tau, tet, tau, is much more light. See the difference? Tet or tau. Tau is much more light. Tet in the end, the last Hebrew letter is tet. So if you hear it, tet is not tet. All right? There's a different sound, Tet. Then the easiest letter, the jot, we say the yud. You can find it in this form or only a dot, like a small line, or a decorated line. Yud, yud. Very important. This is the smallest Hebrew letter, the smallest one, yud, like a jot. Remember, Jesus said, old scripture will never change. My words will never change. Even the smallest alphabet. He was pointing to the yud, the smallest alphabet, the yud. Because all is important, even the smallest details. Then we have the kaf, kaf or kuf. I like to pronounce it kaf. It's way better, kaf. And remember, with a dot, like a king, ke. Without a dot, it becomes he. Very important. These dots are important. Again, with a dot is ke, like king, the gesh, ke. Without a dot is he, like bach, or chatul, or different words, kama. Anyway, kama or kumi. Anyway, kuf. But this is kaf. Don't mix it with the kuf. All right. Don't mix it with the kuf. It's the same sound. But this is kaf. This is kuf. This is kaf. All right. And that in the end, we said this is one of the 5 final forms. This is the first one we learned, that at the end of a word, it changes. Kaf. Almost like this, all right? Almost like this. Sometimes you find it without a line in the end, but most is with a small line. Now, the difference between this and Dalet, this is longer. By the end of a word. So don't mix it with the dalet. So the kuf is always longer. That's the kuf. The kuf is always longer, the kuf, which we call it kuf sofit or kaf sofit. Sofit means the end. And only you find it at the end of a word. We said like derech. Let me write for you derech, means the way. This is dalet. You see, it's on the line, not lower. Dalet. Then we have resh, right, line to the right and line down. And then we have the kaf sofit. You see, longer. So this is dalet resh kaf, and we pronounce it derech. Derech. Why I said che? Because there's no dot. All right, there is no dot. It's che. Derech. Derech. Then we learned about lamed, which is the only alphabet, the only letter that goes above the line. Lamed. There's different ways how we write it, but the most common way is like this and like this and like this down. Lamed. Lamed. Lam, mim, did. Dalet, lamed, lamed. So it depends again on the font, lamed. But notice it's above the line. The only alphabet that goes above the line, lamed, lamed. Then we have mim that come in two forms. Its first form is like this in the beginning of a word or center or end of a word. Again, you can start like this and make a straight line up and down and like this. Different ways you can write it. Mem, mem. But also there's another way you can write it, which is like round, like this, like this, like this, like this. Round. But the most important is, well, any form you write it, the most important is this part inside. It shows that it's mem. Mem. Mostly you find it in this form, okay? Like this, mostly. This is mem. The beginning and the center, but you have to understand mem sofit. Mem sofit, at the end of each letter is different. It's like a square. But how you differentiate it with this small tilt is the end of a word, mim, mim. We said like am. Let me give you an example. Am. This is ain. This is ain, which we're gonna also learn. We already learned ain. And this is mem sofit. Notice most fonts uses this one, not to mix up. All right. Am, mem sofit, mem sofit. Then the alphabet nun, that can be tricky because it comes in different forms, different fonts, nun. But nun also, we write it differently at the beginning. Sometimes you don't find this dash and this long dash. Most of the fonts, you don't find it. You find it a straight line. But anyway, the most important is by the end of an alphabet, it's long, nun. It goes below the line. All right, so differentiate between vav and nun. And sometimes nun is tricky because it looks like vav, but within practice and reading and knowing Hebrew and knowing the words, you differentiate between the two. All right, so this is nun at the beginning of a word or the center, and this is nun sofit. Nun sofit. Again, differentiated from the cha, from the kaf or the chaf. It's smaller. The line is small. Nun sofit. Nun sofit. This is non-Sufit, all right? And sometimes when writings, you see it without a dash on the top. You say it's straight line. Anyway, the key is below the line. The key, if it's below the line, in the end, it's nun. Nun. Then we have samech, samech. All right, sin, samech can be in different forms. One form is like this, like a happy face. Another form is like kind of round on the up, but different than the meme. The meme is square. Don't mix between the meme and the tzamech. All right. Here, sometimes is like a circle, not much a circle, but like a circle. Samech. Samech. All right. And sometimes it's a circle without anything. All right. Samech. Samech. It depends on the font again, but majority, they write it like this, like this, like this, and there's a small dash here, samech, samech. Then we have ayn, ayn. Ayn is the same in the beginning, in the center, and the end. Sometimes we find it like this, ayn, and sometimes in a much decorated way, like this, and sometimes also more decorated, ayn. Don't mix it with the sheen. All right, the sheen or the scene is different. So there is no, the most important, there is nothing here, the third one. So if it's two is ayn, 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 Hebrew letter, ayn. Then we have the pay, of course, different forms, pay. Or you find it round like that, pay. But most important, if there's a dot inside, pay is strong, pay. If there is no dot, pay, pay. So we write it the same in the beginning, the center, and the end. Pay, pay without a dot. Majority come with a dot, pay, pay. Of course, we have pay sofit or fe sofit. Fe sofit. Mostly it's fe sofit. Sofit means end of a word. And mostly is fe without a dot, mostly in biblical Hebrew. Fe. And notice it goes below the line. Fe. 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 And then we learned about Sade that comes also in two forms. This is the beginning of a word or the center. Sade. Sade. Or more decorated. More decorated. Sade. Sade. And at the end of a word is completely different. It changes. Like a Y, but different. All right, different. But notice it goes below the line. That's the key, below the line. And also comes in different forms, different. Like this, you find them, sometimes find it at the end, Sade, a different font. It depends on the font. Depends, but the key is below the line. The key, it's below the line. It's Sade, Sade, Sofit, Sade, Sofit, Sade. Sade, like Aretz. Let's read it. This is the Aleph. And then this is the Reish. And then we have the Tzadi. The Tzadi. The Tzadi, Aretz. Or you write it like this and straight line. Aretz, Aretz. Aretz means land, land. So this is how we write Tzadi Sofit. Then the last 5 alphabet is kaf, kaf, which we write it like this and straight down. Sometimes tilt, not all the time. And then straight line, kaf, kaf. Then we write it a different form, sometimes like this down and like this. And sometimes you see it like this and like this and like this down. There's different forms, kaf, kaf. Then the resh is very easy. Straight line to the right and straight line down. Sometimes you find it more decorated, not very straight, but like half a circle. Now don't mix between the resh, and the kuf. The kuf continues, all right? The kuf is like resh, but you add another one here. Resh, resh. Resh. Many Jews does not pronounce it very right. Resh, resh. From rosh, which means a head, resh. Or rishon. See how we write rishon? Means Sunday or beginning. From rosh or Rosh Hashanah or rishon. This is resh, and this is aleph, and this is shin, which we're going to learn next is to the right, a dot. She's always right, shin, rishon. Then the vav, and then the noon below as we ran. Rishon, rishon, Sunday, means Sunday. Then the shin, we learned the shin. Of course, comes different forms, but the most important, the dot to the right. Sometimes it comes more decorated, like half a plate and like this. And sometimes becomes also a lot of decorations and like this and like this and like this. But anyway, you can recognize it easy. The sheen, the sheen. Then we have the scene. What is different? The same thing. What is different? The dot to the left. Scene, scene in Hebrew. Scene. Nahal scene. Nahal means a wadi. Noon, het, and then we have lamed. Nahal means a valley. Nahal, Nahal sin, sin, samer, sin, sin, yud, and noon, sin. Then we have the tav, the tav. The tav, the last Hebrew letter. The tav. Remember, the het is like this, the het, but if you add a line, is tav, tav, the last Hebrew letter. And we said it comes with the dagesh, the dagesh. If it have a dot, is like T, like toy or Tony. Without a dot, it's pronounced differently. Te. We say the without a dot. With a dot is tet, te. Without a dot is the, the. So here we learned about all the Hebrew alphabets: Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet, He, Vav, Zain, Het, Tet, Yud, Kaf, Lamed, Mem, Nun, Samech, Ain, Pe, Tzadeh, Kof, Resh, Sin, Shin, and Tav, the Hebrew alphabets. Boxy print letters, the blueprint of the Old Testament. So let me read for you now from the Old Testament with the vowels. I'm going to pronounce each vowel, and hopefully you can also read it. So I'm going to pronounce each alphabet with each vowel for you. This is bet, and with a dot becomes like boy, be with a dot. And then we have the two dots down, which is a strong pronunciation. The shva, be, be. Then resh with the two dots to the right is a, bere. Then we have the aleph. Then we have the sheen with one dot is e, hirek. Then we have the tav. So with the vowels, it says berashit. Now, if there's no vowels, we're not able to pronounce it this way. Then we have be with a dot with the kamatz. Kamatz is a. So we say ba. Resh with the kamatz, we say ra. Then aleph. So we say bara. Bara. A. Kamatz. Then aleph with two dots, the shva, e. Then the lamed with the dot, o, the holem. Then he with the dot below is e. Then yud with mim. So we say Elohim. Elohim. Then aleph with the two dots is tzere, which is a. And tav, we say et. Et. All right, et. Then hey with a patah is a, ha. Then shin with a kamatz gadol, ha, sha. And mem with a patah is a. And then yud with a dot is e. And then mem. So ha, sha, ma, yem. Hashamayim. Ve'et. We say the ve, the shva, ve. You see strong ve. Then the aleph with the a, and then the tav, ve'et. Then he with a kametz is a, and aleph with the kametz is a. Then resh with the sigol is a short a. Then tzadeh, haaretz. You see how we pronounce it? Haaretz. Ha is a kametz a, aleph a, and then this is a segol, which is a short a, haaretz, haaretz. Anyway, so let me continue reading for you, pronouncing for you. Ve with the shva, all right, ve strong. Then he with the kametz gadol is a, aleph with the kametz is a, resh is with a segol, with a short a, the haaretz, and he with a, and yud with a shva, and tet with a kametz a, hayita. You see, the shva e, we say strong dagesh, hayita. Then tav with a dot is u, halem, u. And then he, and then we said vav with a dot is u. It's changed. Tohu, tohu. Ve with the kametz, bet with the holem, he, and the vav with the shorek, u. Vebohu, vebohu. Maybe I will not say the names and only say the sounds. Ve is the shva, ve, het is o, and then shin with the three dots is a, and then the cha in the end is the shva. Vechoshech, vechoshech. Ain lamed with the dash, we pronounce it patah, we say a. So al. Ain with a, al. Pe with ishva, e. Then nun with two dots, also it's sere. With the pe, with the dot, we say pe, strong. Peni, peni. Tet with the two dots is shva, he, and then a dot in the top is o, holem. Tehom, tehom. Ve, the Shva, Resh, O, Het with A, Patah. Veruach, Veruach. Aleph, Lamed with a dot O, like Holem, and then He with a dot is E. Yud, Mim, Elohim. You see the dot here, make it like O. The He with the dot below, make it like E, Hirik. Elohim. Mem, Resh, Het, Pe, Tav. Mem with the Shva, Resh with the A, Patah, then Het with the Segol is A, then Pe is like A, and then Tet. Merahefet, Merahefet. Me, strong, Ra with A, He with A, Pe with A, Merahefet. Ain with a patah, lamed, pe with a shva, nun with a tsera is a, alpini, alpini, he with the patah is ha, mim, mim with the kamat is a, ha, ma, yud with a dot is e, hamayim, hamayim. And the last verse, ve with the patah is va. Yud with a dot is u. Veyu. Aleph. Mem with 3 dots is segol. E. Ve yomer. Ve yomer. Aleph with 3 dots is jva, is strong. E. Lamed with a dot, and the top is O, Holem. Hey with a dot in the bottom is E, and Yud, Mim. Elohim, Elohim. Yud with the dagesh. Hey with the dot below is Herek, which means Yehu, Yehu. Aleph, Vav, Resh. We said Vav with the dot on the top is Holem. It says or. Vav with a patah, Yud with a shva, and He with a herek is E. Veyihi, Veyihi. Or Aleph, Waw, Resh, or. Veyomar Elohim, Yehi or Veyehi or. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. I know it's tedious, but by lesson 7, we finished all the 23 Hebrew alphabets with the 5 vowels, with the long and the short vowels, and with the 6 baguette kafet, the 6 consonants, and the dagesh lin, and with the 5 final forms of the 5 alphabets. So we finished Hebrew level 1 with 7 lessons. Now you can go open the Torah, open the Old Testament, and if you follow the lessons, you can start to read biblical Hebrew. Thank you. Thank you all for your patience with me. Thank you all. I want to see now your names. I want to write for your names in Hebrew. I want to write your names in Hebrew. And anyone like to start? Anyone want to volunteer for me to write his name in Hebrew?
This is so exciting, yeah, Andre.
Hi, Melissa. Yes.
Hello. I don't want to write my name. I'm not that good.
I'll write it for you. I write it
Okay.
for you. Okay. Let me write your name in biblical Hebrew. So we said mem first, mem, like this, like this. This is mem. Then we have lamed. Then we have yud. And then we have tsamer. And then you write it in H or in the end in English, Melissa with or E.
It's Melissa.
SS Aleph. Melissa. So this is in biblical Hebrew, how we write it in general.
Wow,
Great.
that's super cool.
Yeah, and we can also use the Nikud, which we can use to pronounce it right. A is 2 dots below, me. So this makes it me. And then with the dot, we say E, Meli. Then we have the patah, Melissa. You see how the dots, the Nikud, will help you to pronounce your name.
Oh,
This is how we can read biblical Hebrew too.
amazing.
Anyone else? Any volunteer?
Yeah. Did you see mine?
No. Did you share it?
Yeah, I sent it to you by email. It's Chloe, Chloe.
Yes, Chloe.
And I had a question. What was the difference between Kuf and Kaf?
Okay.
Chloe.
Kuf and Kaf. This is Kaf in Hebrew.
But they're pronounced the same. It's both.
No, it's different letters. And this is the Kuf. Do not mix between the two. This is the Kaf. Two different alphabets. And this is the Kuf. It depends on the word, how we write it.
Oh.
So call, your name is with Kuf because it's stronger.
Got my.
So when you write your name, you write it with
It's
this.
very, very faint though, so I'm gonna have to like practice it.
Anyone else want to try his name?
Well, you didn't do my whole name.
What?
Chloe.
Chloe. All right. Let me do your name. Kuf.
Kuf.
Then Lamed. Then Vav. Then Yud. Let me do also for you the Nikud, the vowels. Kuf and then Klo. Klo with U, the Holim. Klo. We with the Shva, 2 dots down. See a dot here. Klo. With the Shva, 2 dots below is Chloe. Chloe. Chloe.
Okay.
This is how we write it with the. Anyone
Thank you.
else?
Yeah, Donald would like to.
Donald? Yes.
Yeah.
Donald. Okay, let me write for you, Donald.
It kind of depends on how you say it in English. You know, if you say it with an accent, it's Donald. If you say it just in English, it's Donald.
How you like to say it?
Donald.
All right. Let me 1 second. All right. Donald Dalet.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then we have the Vav.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have the Nun. Then we have the Lamed. You want to write the Aleph? I don't know. Do you write it with A in English?
I do, but it's barely pronounced.
So in
It's-
Hebrew, Dalet, Vav, Nun, Lamed, and then Dalet. But let me do the Nikud for you to be much more clear.
Okay.
So we have the O, the Holim. We put O here, Do. Then Na with the Patah Gadol, Patah, Dona, Donald, And this is also here, ooh, Donald. This is with the vowels. Donald, Donald. You see, with the vowels will help us to read it much more better.
Yeah, you know, I almost did it the same way.
Good job,
I
man.
tried it myself, except instead of, well, here, I don't know if you can see this.
Let me see.
Wait a minute, where am I?
Yeah, I
Uh,
see it. I see it.
Yeah, see, I used, I said, I put da, but I left out the vav. Is that necessary, the vav in there?
Not much. No, you can take it out also.
So it came out like Donald is the way I kind of
Donald.
wrote it.
Yeah,
Does that make sense?
make complete sense. Good job, man. I'm impressed. Good job.
I don't know about that, but
You're good in
Yeah.
languages, man. Anyone else is dying to write his name in biblical Hebrew?
Yeah, can you do Vicky?
Vicky, that's very nice, Vicky. So we have Vev, Vav. We said this is like wow, Vav. And we have the Yud. Then we have the Kuf. And then we have the Yud. Vicky, Vicky. But we've put a dot below is the Herek, E, V, T, 2 dots, Vicky, Vicky.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Vicky.
Hey, how about Jeanette? Do
Jeanette.
Jeanette for me, Andre.
Very good, Jeanette. We said the Gimel, the Gimel, the Gimel, but we have to put without a dot, right? Without a dot is like Ja, Ja. With the dot is gay, but Ja. And then the Aleph, Janet, right?
Correct.
Then the Nun, and then the Yud, and then the Tav, Janet. But let me do the Nikud. The Kametz is A, Ja, and then we have A, Janet, Janet, with the A, with the vowel, and the A, Janet, Janet. Or you can do the Tsire, A, Janet, the 2 dots, make it A, Janet. Very good.
Excuse me, doesn't the Aleph make the A for Janet? The Aleph.
Janet,
Yeah.
Janet. This makes the A. The Nikud.
Yeah, but then why do you put the Aleph?
You can put it and you can take it off, but with the Janet, it's Janet to make it
Okay.
much more clear. But you can take it
Mhm.
out. But in English, it's written J-A, right?
Mhm.
That's why I put the A. And it's
Okay.
not, but you can take it out and keep the Nikud,
Mhm.
Janet, Janet. And you can take the Yud out too. By the way, these are not biblical names. We can play whatever we want. But when they are biblical names, you can't change anything. These are modern Western names. Janet. You can do it like this. Gimel with a kametz, Nun with the a tzere and the tav, Janet. Janet. All right.
Can you
Anyone
do
else?
Patricia or Trish?
Trish. Trish. The tet. Resh. Yud. Shin. Trish. So we have to do the shva. 2 dots. T. T. You see how strong? And the herek, the dot. Trish. Trish. Is how we say it. Trish.
Oh, great. Thank you.
This
Can I
is with
ask
the-
another favor?
Of
Not
course.
my name, but my grandson's name is Gideon.
Oh, that's a biblical name. Jad'un. We say Jad'un. Gideon.
Jadon?
Yes, Gideon. Gideon. We write the Gomal, the Gimel, the Yud, the Dalet, the Yud, and the Nun. Gideon. Gideon with the Nikud, the Tsere, 2 dots. Gid and the Tsere. Gideon. Gideon.
His middle name is Emmanuel.
Wow. But the Gideon is American. Gid'on is Hebrew, is biblical.
Gidon. Okay.
Gid.
But
Say,
he's a
Andrew,
strong biblical name.
Yeah, Gid'on means literally strong. Gid'on. Gideon. Gideon. Different meanings. Gideon. All right.
Thank you.
Welcome.
How about Anthony?
Anthony. Aleph. Nun. Tav. Wow or Vav. Nun. And Yud. Let me put with the vowels. Patah. And with the Shva, an. And then we have the Holem, Anto, and another Holem. And then we put the Tsere, Anthony. The 2 dots is a Anthony. Did anyone not write his name in Hebrew?
mine is
Susan?
short. It's
Oh, go
Dawn,
ahead.
Dawn, Dawn, and that would
Dawn.
also have a what the word is in Hebrew.
Okay, this is Dalet, Don Aleph, Vav with the dot in the middle. Ooh, you see? Don. There's no Hebrew word. It's English word, don. There's no Hebrew.
Well, it means sunrise.
In English, it means sunrise, dawn. No?
Yeah, but I mean, there would be a word in every language. There's a word.
Ah, you want a sunrise in Hebrew?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Nizrah, or Lizroh, sunrise in Hebrew, from Mizrah, from north.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Could you do Susan with a Z, Suzan?
Susan, S. You said you? We say Susan with a.
Right, Suzan.
So we say it with O, Sue. Then we have the Zain. And then we have the Nun, Sofit. Susan. Let me do the vowels. Ooh, Halem. We put a dot on the top. Su. Then we use the Shva. Susan. Also is
Thank you.
and Western word. Susan. Great. Anyone else?
George and Rachel.
George and Reiko.
Not here for you.
George. This is Gimel. All right, with a dot. And then O with the dot U, which is U, Shorek, George. And then the Resh. And then George. See, this is the U, George. And this is the Shva. George, 2 dots, George. And then we will write Rike. How you pronounce it in English? All right, they're not here, but I'll write their names.
Reiko.
Reiko, how you pronounce it in English?
It's a Japanese name.
All right. And so it says R, Yud, Kuf. Do you say Reke or Reku?
Reiko. Ko.
Reiko. So that's important, this name, because of the vowels. Did you hear that? Reiko. So the vowels is A, Tsere. So we see 2 dots below the R. All right, Re. And then at the Kof, we put the Shiruk, U. So we say Reiko, Reiko. Sorry, we put the Halem, sorry, on the top. Say Reiko, Reiko. Let me repeat. Resh with the Tsere is A, then Yud, then Kuf with the Halem, which is O, and then the Vav, Reiko. You see how the vowels changes the word, Reiko, Reiko. By the way, ancient languages like Japanese and Chinese are very similar to Hebrew when it comes with the vowels. And what is in Jesus in Japanese? I know is like, in Hebrew is Yeshua, in Chinese is like Yeshua. What is in Japanese, Jesus?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, ancient languages have some similar, because these are old ancient languages. I know in Chinese is Yeshua, Yeshua. And in Hebrew is Yeshua, very similar to Chinese. I don't know how Japanese is it. I don't know.
I'll find out and I'll send it to you.
Great, great. Okay, so anyone? Now, I told you from the beginning, if someone had watched all the lessons and sent me all the exercises, did anyone do that? Did anyone send me all? Because I done a challenge first for you.
I did.
Oh,
I did.
the ones who did, can you send me an email? Because I trust you. The ones who did send me all the exercises, I'm very happy to give you the academy as a gift for you. The one who done the 7 lessons. I know people are here that already have the academy, like many of you here. So the ones who done all the lessons, please send me an email. I will write my email. All right.
Okay.
And then I will send you all the academy for free, almost 12 courses,
Wow.
12
Wow.
courses as a gift for you. Next week, we're going to learn about the historical Jesus. Tony, my brother, will give about historical Jesus. The week after, we're going to learn about Tony's book. We're going to share about his book. And every week we'll give you something new. I'm going to come back to the Aramaic, also reading of the Bible, and to the daily tours. In summertime, we're going to have only once a month a lecture because we are traveling and everyone it's a summertime. And so we're going to do it once a month. We're going to be, me and Tony will be in a teaching tour for 3 months in the States. I will send you the locations where I will be doing Jesus through the Middle Eastern eyes. I'll be in Chicago, I'll be in Alaska, I'll be in Seattle and Texas, doing on a teaching tour for 3 months. And we'll give you, Zoom will not stop, will continue, but once a month, because it's summertime to have a break. So please send me to my personal email. Send me to my personal